Woo!
Nice.
Hello everyone, this is Music Mukbang. My name is Zoe and today we are talking to Peter McPoland. Hello!
Hello!
Alright, so you are on the Midwest Sound Mini Tour 2024. You're doing just a few shows in the Midwest focused. You're here in Urbana-Champaign at UOI campus and you're doing a show. This is your second show of the tour, correct?
Correct.
How are you feeling? How's it going now that you've had the first show done and dusted? You're like warmed up, you're ready to go?
Feels fantastic. I lost my voice completely last night. In the first 3 songs I get so excited that I forget that we have to sustain this for 2 weeks.
Yeah, exactly.
So I'm a little bit beat up from the first 3 songs of yesterday, but other than that, feel great. I went on set and looked at the quad for like 30 minutes this afternoon. It's really nice.
It's, that's, I feel like one of the perks of it being such a big school is like there's so many like cool things like that, like the quad and like Star Course, who so graciously have us here. And so, one of the perks of the big school. But what prompted a tour just in the Midwest?
This show kind of prompted a tour in the Midwest. Yeah,
that's awesome.
We had this, and then we have one in Missouri that we're doing.
Okay.
For far enough apart that we routed the whole tour in between it. But it's kind of like I wanted to do this type of tour since I was touring, So it's exciting to finally be able to do something like this.
You opened for 21 Pilots in 2022. That was obviously, lots of big shows, kind of a crazy crowd. What were some things that you learned from doing those shows and touring with them that you were able to then take into your own touring and your own approach to live music?
I think the leading up to that, I knew for about 4 months that I was going to do that. And it was the most crippling stress I've ever had in my entire life. I've never experienced stress like that on that level. So I think after that, nothing can stress me out anymore. I think I'm done being stressed. No, I saw like how they had built their whole show, and it was so inspiring, and they gave me a lot of good advice. It was so fulfilling.
Yeah, and especially being like relatively new in your music journey, I feel like they have so much to teach and like so much you just absorb even just being there.
Yeah.
Was there a particular venue or a particular crowd that like really stood out to you?
I think the first night was unlike anything because I think all of their fans were so excited, and I was so excited, and I was crippled and stressed backstage. And then when I got it was just the most exhilarating thing I've ever experienced.
Yeah,
so,
absolutely.
Yeah.
And, like you, I think, have experienced this quite a bit too, getting your start and having a lot of that virality from TikTok and that online-centric kind of popularity. When you then take it to live shows, was like there anything that you had to kind of learn as far as, like you said, like you were very anxious, kind of coping mechanisms and getting used to performing live?
I think I performed a lot in high school.
Okay.
I had a band and we did a lot of stuff.
When
we first started, when I first got signed, the label kind of streamlines everything. They put you on in-ears and they start running tracks for the shows.
Yeah.
And so there was a lot to learn there. And this tour, I've learned that I don't have to do that necessarily. And so we're not running tracks and like it's only us playing the instruments and that's it. There's no like background vocals. So I don't know. I feel like I learned through them that you can kind of get away with what you want to do. And I don't know.
Make it your own.
Yeah, make it my own.
Yeah, and you toured on your own in 2023, and obviously you were going to a bunch of different venues and stuff like that. Do you have a dream venue that you would still like to play?
Actually, I was just thinking about this the other day. I was sitting in my hotel room, and I used to work at this venue in my hometown, the Woodlands, Texas, and I used to be a food runner, and I would like run to the patrons of the expensive restaurant there, and we would make queso and give them to them, and it's this gross petri dish of queso.
Oh boy!
But I was like standing in the rain one night, and Tom Petty was playing, and I remember listening to like Free Falling in the rain, holding jars of queso, and I was remembering this memory the other night in the hotel. And I think it's an exciting thing to strive for in that far future. So,
yeah.
That's my dream thing.
With the queso too, or
with
just
the queso,
with
ideally, yeah, I think so.
Okay.
I think so.
You think that looked like a side, like a centerpiece and decoration?
Yeah.
Stage. Okay.
Terrible queso. It's terrible queso.
So, according to Google, it says you're from Burlington, Vermont, but
Yes.
you're from. What's the backstory?
I'm a
here?
little from Burlington, Vermont. I was
Okay.
born in Burlington,
Yeah.
but we only lived there till I was 7.
Okay.
And then I moved to Texas. I wasn't a real person.
Okay. And what was, you mentioned that you had a band in high school and you were playing music in your younger years. In Texas, what was the local music scene like for you and your experience?
None.
None.
There was no local music scene. We would play. We were the only band, and there was no house shows. There was nothing. So we just go to parks and we'd play charity events for the school. We played the pep rally. And it was like as raw as it gets. It was so fun. I learned the most amount of lessons in my life from that experience.
Yeah.
So.
What was a memorable lesson? Is there any that stick out to you?
We used to have. I used to wrap all the cable. We used to have no sound guy or anything.
Yeah, sure.
And the first show that we had, I sound checked for 6 hours, and it was 103 degrees out, and we all wanted to look cool. I think I was wearing just about this exact outfit, and I ran all the cables, and the piano was through the same speakers, and I'd just run from the mic, and I'd have everyone play, and I'd run out to the field and listen to the music, and turn stuff down, and then run back and forth. We did it for the whole fucking day.
Sweating your ass
Yeah.
off. Oh my gosh.
I realized that it's just a nice memory because now I don't have to really wrap cables anymore.
Yeah.
And so I learned that people do that for their job and they're much better at it than I am. So that's a good lesson.
Yeah, you learn all the different skills and the different fields kind of in that scaled down way as you're playing as well too. Cool. The Speed of the Sound of You, most recent release, came with a music video. Mm-hmm. Tell me a little bit about that single. What made you want to drop it? What's the story behind it?
I don't know. It's I had done the Piggy stuff. That, past album was so dark, and I think that if you do that enough, it just makes you want to not do dark stuff anymore.
Sure.
It's vice versa. When I came out of all the stuff before that, I wanted to get aggressive with it. So it's kind of this contrast of everything. But I don't know. I missed making cheerful music.
Yeah.
And then the music video, we filmed it on my old house in Rhode Island, and it felt like how I felt when I was making TikToks in 2020, trying to cut through. It was such a fun. We had no plan for the music video. We just showed up, and I'm vacuuming in it because there was nothing in the. There was only a vacuum in the house.
Right.
We had no props, so we just kind of ran with
it.
And, it was
it looks great. Intentional.
Thank God for that.
It looks
it's
very
not.
It looks very, very intentional along with everything. So, you mentioned you got your start on TikTok in 2020. Obviously, everyone was at home. You were signed to Columbia in 2021. And how would you say that having your songs go viral on TikTok, on a social media platform, would you say that had an effect on how you went ahead and wrote future music and how you went about that process?
Yeah, it's a real mind fuck. It's
as they say, TikTok brain rot, right?
It is brain rot, but there's Bruce Springsteen had talked about this. He's your first album is so special because you have no fans essentially. It's the music that you'd written for yourself, and then after that you're never writing for just yourself anymore.
Yeah.
And so it's this weird trade-off where once I had been going into my room and just writing music for me, and just as me as it could be, and then you start realizing what does well on TikTok, and it starts shifting everything. So there's this balance that I've had to find where it's equally me and it's equally for the people. You don't want to be so pretentious in your own self-righteousness. But I don't know, and it's crazy. I used to draw the Columbia Records symbol on my binders in class. I used to have that dialed in, and I would just sit there and draw it. So it's this crazy fucking truth that came out of
full
that.
Circle.
But no.
Is there a special way that they found you or you found them?
You start getting music going.
Yeah.
I think, as I've come to find out, I don't know if this is truth.
Okay.
Don't quote me on this.
It may not be the standard quote,
but the labels will start coming into the emails, right? So they slide into the DM.
Yeah.
They romance you. They say you're so pretty, Peter. You're so fucking pretty. They say, let me take you out to dinner. It's this whole thing.
Yeah.
And I, again, was fucking drawing their symbol on my binder.
Right.
So I had I loved Columbia. But my manager at the time had known the leader of Columbia, and we went to his house.
Uh-huh.
And it was very, like, as though it was 1930. I, like, sang songs for him in his house.
Yeah.
And I had, like, 3 songs prepared. One was Let Her Remember, which came out, and I think he liked that one. And there was, like, these 2 other unreleased ones. But I, like, was calling my mom on the way home from it. I was like, yeah, I think I sang them well. I think I did good. And then my manager interrupted the call, and he's like, he'll sign you tomorrow if you don't go to someone else. So I have my girlfriend then of Columbia Records, and we dated.
Perfect.
Until now. Yeah, so, yeah.
Awesome. So you're very present on social media in that sense of like TikTok and stuff like that. Would you say that you are someone that will look to social media, or you'll be like peering at the comments, looking and seeing the feedback, or do you try not to?
No, I scroll through every comment. I scroll through, and I'll see people at the show too, and I'll like know them from their profile picture too, and I'll know their username. So it's fascinating.
You don't know their name, but you know.
No, people will introduce themselves off of their username.
Yeah.
Like, oh, I'm out here. Yeah. So that's cool. It's I love the comments. I'm there for hours.
For sure. In a recent social media clip, you were promoting your latest single, and you have a few lines of spoken word before the lyrics kick off, talking about the label, the listeners, and emphasis on your listeners consuming good media. Specifically, the line, the label wants to get you, the label wants to understand you, the label, quite frankly, wants to own you. As someone who's signed to Columbia, what would you want your audience to understand about labels and about media consumption as a whole, based off of that video, or just in general, how your presence online?
There has to be an understanding that I'm 23 and I'm like angry, like, or not angry, it's just I'm omnisciently viewing myself as pretentious and wrong in a lot of things, So I made that video, and I'm like, nothing prompted it in any way, but it's like, to be 23 is to complain in some way about whoever is rightfully telling you what you need to do to get to the next step. Sure. And everything that they've told me has always been true. And so I think it's just my natural boy reaction to complain a little bit when my mom tells me that I need to clean my room.
Oh, fair enough.
But yeah, I don't know. It's fun to rile up sometimes. It's fun, and I hadn't been at a piano. I just moved into this new space, and I don't know. There's really no dark truth about anything. The only thing that happens is the shift in your own mindset. When you're writing songs in your room for years and years on end.
Sure.
And then people like them so much that they start moving business around for you. It's like this. It's this total shift, and you feel like you're not necessarily worthy in a way. You can't comprehend it.
Yeah.
So that whole thing is it's me coming to terms with my own scenario.
Navigating your situation and the feelings that come along with that, and I'm sure a lot of that probably carries over into your music as well, not just on social media. So I'm playing U of I tonight. Mm-hmm. Did you go to college at all, or is this okay? Mm-hmm. So big college campus, lots of students coming to watch you. Is there anything in particular that you're excited about for the show tonight?
I think I'm so excited to play college. I've always, my goal was to, like, when I didn't go to college, I wanted to play a college show before I graduated college. What would have been my 4 years. But I'm 23 now. I think I would have graduated by now. But realistically, I also think I would have dropped out for a year and been held back if I do that.
Yeah.
So I think it's it kind of slides into being accepted.
There you go.
So,
and, depending on what, when your birth month is, some people are still 23 in college.
True.
So there you go.
I'm still in college.
You're still in the time frame, for sure.
I'm graduating soon, so I'm really excited. I'm really excited to get out to the workforce.
That's going to be good. Yeah. So, awesome. Thank you so much for coming on the show. Is there anything else that you want to chat about? Anything you want to plug before we sign off?
Man, I have nothing to plug. There's a new single. There's a video of the single.
It's great. There's a vacuum in it.
There's a vacuum in it. I'm on the internet. I've got nothing else other than that.
Awesome. And where can everyone follow you?
Peter McPoland.
On
the internet.
On everything.
On everything.
Sweet.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
This has been Music Mukbang. This is Peter McPoland, and thank you to Star Course and Follinger for having us.
Bye, Music Mukbang. Thank you.
Awesome.